Welcome back, I'm Kimberly and this is Floral Art Online, and we're on our way to get some flowers to do the next in our series of using supermarket or store-bought flowers and making a design. And as you know, we only use one bunch. So today we're heading out to the Wallenby Road Providores, which is my local fruit and vegetable store that I've mentioned previously in these videos. We're going to see what they've got on offer. They have a whole lot of produce, obviously, fruit and vegetables, flowers, and some other made items. So I don't ever know what they've got for me to buy. And so I thought that today might be a good idea for you to see how I go about choosing the flowers that they do have on offer and what I think about beforehand and what you need to think about beforehand when you're going to use supermarket flowers or store-bought flowers for the designs that you're doing. Welcome back, I'm Kimberly, as you probably know. This is Floral Art Online and we're continuing our series on buying one bunch of flowers and doing as much as you can with it. Now for this video, it's the third in the series for February 2023, got it right this time. The flowers that I bought a week ago have been sitting in a bucket of water, and I've changed the water a couple of times, but I haven't had the opportunity to make these last couple of videos, and so a lot of the foliage is not as good as it was when we initially bought it, so I won't be able to use that. What I thought I would do though is reuse some of the foliage that I used in the first two designs. So if you have looked at those videos, then you'll recognize these designs. This was the first design. And as you can see, that's been made for a week and it's been out of water and it still looks fine. Yes, the leaves have dried up a little bit, but they dry in such a natural way that it would still be very decorative to have it that way without having to worry about fresh flowers or water or all those sorts of things. The second design that we did used the Hessian wrap and the magnolia leaves and the silver dollar. Now the magnolia leaves, they will turn this sort of colour once they're fully dried. They're only about half dried now, so they're probably not good to use as they are half dried, but they'll be fine once they are fully dried. So I'll keep them away and let them dry fully, and then we'll use them in something in the videos to come. Probably not in this series, but in another series of videos. But the silver dollar, as you can see, still looks fine. If you had decided to hang this at any time of the year, you could just let it dry naturally and it's going to give you a different look as it dries and still be very decorative once again. So I'm going to take those apart and use some of the foliage in the design that I'm doing. Now the container that we're using this time around is this little candle number. This has got a tea light candle in it, which sits in it. Now I picked it up at a charity store, as I do with a lot of the stuff that I use, because it's cheap and easy to play around with things, and then if they're useful, I'll keep the containers. If not, they get donated back and someone else can have some value with them. This one was in a box unopened, but it does have a crack down the back of it, so I won't be able to use it past using it for this particular design unless I wasn't using water in it. So it's probably not going to be as serviceable for me as a lot of the other things that I pick up at these stores. It did come though with a little pack of sand or white pebbles and shells. So we'll use that in the design and see what comes of arranging all of those things. So reusing the foliage and the paper daisies that we used in the first two designs, still out of that one bunch of flowers, into this without water because we've got dried material now or semi-dried material now, we don't need the water in it, so we're not going to worry about the crack. The crack can be at the back, it'll be covered up by the other material that's in it, and let's see what we can make with that. Right, so I have taken off all of the filler that we had on this particular shape. So now we've got this shape that we can use for another design another time. We could take it apart and we've still got the mesh because it's nice and pliable. We've still got that mesh that we could use for any other shape as well, but we'll leave it in that shape for the time being, and we'll move on to doing something with our container. As I showed you at the start, glass vase, it's got the crack in the back, so we won't be using water in it. Had that little bag of pebbles and shells and things, and so I've dropped half of the pebbles in, then put the shells and the rocks in, and then I moved them around with the trusty cake tester till they're in the right place, then put the rest of the pebbles in so that it looks a little bit more natural. And because we've got a few different levels of the shells and the rocks, so that it's not just flat and all just placed in perfectly. And then this will sit in the top of it. Now I had thought about putting hessian around this, the hessian from the other design. I've left that complete, so I'll just let that dry as it is, and I might show you in one of the later videos how it looks in about a month's time, and you'll see how extraordinary it is to use that sort of foliage and have it last virtually forever if you wanted it to. So I'm not going to put the hessian, back to the topic, not going to put the hessian around this particular one today. I'm just going, because it's got the silver there and the light's reflecting on the glass, I don't think it needs to be covered up so much. I think it would make it too dark and too visually heavy in that area of the design. So we'll just see how we go with it this time around. What I did want to show you is, because we put that material onto the heart shape when it was fresh and we've let it dry, we've got these lovely shapes now that we can utilise in the design. And I've just seen that there's a bit of paper covered wire still attached to it. So I'll remove that. So yes, we've got these lovely shapes that we can use that are ready to design with. So we've got 2, 3, 4, 5 lengths of the semi-dried silver dollar, and we've got our 6 little bunches of the paper covered daisies. What I think I might do with these is I'll cut the stem right down so it's just underneath the tie, and then I'll bury at least one down into the pebbles, and then the others I'm going to put into this container here, so it'll be a nice big show of them. And I might even have one at the top. I'll just see how it looks, just to bring your eye through the design. Because this came with a tea light and it's got the wax in there, rather than have to take that out and try some other way of fixing these into the carrier, I'm actually just going to melt that wax and then stick these bunches into the melted wax, and then they'll set in place and be held there without needing anything else or any other cover for that particular area. So that's another good trick that you've learnt through this series today. So let's get started with that. I won't talk while I'm doing it because I can't talk and think at the same time, or can't talk and design at the same time, and then we'll see how we end up at the end of our time. Now, even though I said I wasn't going to talk, I'm actually going to talk you through what I'm doing here. So what I had hoped was that the angle that this is dried in, I'd be able to utilise somehow through the design. And what I'm thinking is that I'll have it this way and then be able to wedge this in around it. So that it brings your eye from the base of the design up through it. And we've hidden the stem in the bottom of the gravel there, of the stones there, so that will help us. It also means that it covers up a little bit of the silver carrier, covers up a little bit of the silver on the hanging parts as well. So I'll just have to, what I'll have to do now is get the daisies into this so that they can be placed in there, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to get them in and out as easily. So let's just do that. So there we have our filled tray to drop in. So we'll see if we can get that in now without too much damage. Once again, this might be where the cake tester will come in handy in case I need to push things down a bit further. So back again, what I did was rework that wax so that it was soft enough for me to push all of the stems in there. So I've got them all in place now. I've put a little piece at the base underneath one of the rocks. I've put a tiny, probably just 2 sections of the silver dollar in the base as well, just to give it that colour that comes through. I've looked at this a couple of times, this bent piece, and it's not going to work inside, so we're going to do something with it outside. I've got this one that I've measured to make sure that it will carry through from the base through to the top of the design. So let's just get this one in first. We've got to squeeze it to get it in. And then I'm just going to turn it around so I can see, just to make sure that the fullest part of that is at the front. So as you can see, because of the shaping of the glass, you can actually see that base placement, and it looks like it's almost reaching up with the magnification of the glass, reaching up to the top of where the rest of these daisies are. So we'll just now put in a side branch. Once again, got to turn it to me so I can see it. But you will see the finished product, you know that. Now what I might do with this is take out the stem so that it won't matter where that finishes up. It won't be just a stem sort of hanging in this space. Using the cake skewer again, just to help get that down below the basket. Now, let's take the basket out a bit. I said let's do it right. How are we going now? So there's the front of it, and a couple of things we can do. We can hang this over the top to give it a little bit of movement across the top, and then we can put one of the last remaining lot of paper daisies through the centre of that, poking out through that, which marries up all of the elements in this, all of the parts in this design. We could have it around the base, and I'll take a photo of it around the base so that you can see what it looks like from the base. But let's just leave that one there for the time being, showing you what you can do with some leftover bits, some semi-dried parts of an arrangement that you might previously have made. I'm Kim Bailey, and this is Floral Art Online, the Supermarket Series, number 3 for February 2023.